Okay, good afternoon to all of you and hope you are all doing good. I guess the time is up now. Let's start the discussion. See, if you remember in the last class, we discussed about a very important concept as to how the customer acquisition takes place, what are the process of getting the customers, what are the different marketing business strategies will you use so that the customers will walk in. I mean, eventually, what will be the particular benefits that you would like to enjoy from the business perspective point of view in order to understand how the market works, what are the criteria related to marketing and other different parameters which are there. So these are the three questions that we were able to answer in the last class. So now let us try to take another factors into consideration and let us start our discussions. Now, when it comes to operational part, that is CRM tools for the customer acquisition, there are a lot of tools which are available in that. There are certain classes, the important segments, and those are the segments like, for example, lead management software, where the lead management process includes the number of sub processes, including lead generation, qualification, allocation, and lead tracking. So let's say, for example, there is one call center which is available, and this is an external call center, BPO. So what do? Is they contact the third party to purchase the debit and credit cards. Now let's say, for example, if they are contacting to purchase you the debit card, so they will have your full details officially. Let's say, for example, you and ICICI Bank, you have an one account, so they have your all official details. So what do? Is they call you. Now when they call you, what do? Is they give you the proper information, and it is your decision whether you want to purchase it or not. But how does this management happens? There is a particular team available. What do this team will do is they will have a sub team. There will be a group leader. There will be 5 to 20 people reporting to him. This person, what they will do is, from the marketing perspective point of view, from the business perspective point of view, is they will open the software. Already leads will be there. Let's say, for example, yesterday they might have done 100 calls, but out of them 50 were not reachable. So first they will contact those 50 people, and eventually lead qualification will take place. Lead will be tracked. Let's say, for example, your client tells you to call you day after tomorrow. Now when your client tells you to call you after day after tomorrow, probably what he is doing, he is trying to make you understand that he is busy right now, you can call him afterwards also. So this is what the part and parcel of the management structure it is, and this is what we need to understand. So with this business process, what happens from the marketing perspective point of view, a right person is contacted at the right time, and there is 100% chance in the positive way that they might purchase the product, and eventually they can come to a point where they eventually want to get a comparatively better data. The other one is campaign related management. Let's say, for example, company has designed a campaign related to the business. So what do their campaign managers design? They basically execute and measure the marketing campaign with support of CRM technologies which are there. With the help of customer relationship management tools and techniques, they will try to launch a particular campaign. They will execute that campaign, and they will see to it that in multiple formats they try to connect to you. And once they try to connect to you, and let's say, for example, it is an exhibition which has taken place, and finally when you come down to that exhibition, that means the success for this brand, and this is what you have to know. The other is event based marketing. EBM provides companies with opportunities to approach prospects at the time which have a higher probability of leading to sales. That is important life stage or events. So life cycle is there, and in that life cycle, how that design and operational part takes place, or what are the categories of the product life cycle, where in different areas from the business point of view, companies try to look at the opportunities and they will target you accordingly. And once they target you very systematically and accordingly from the marketing perspective point of view, what happens is they eventually get the right kind of information to the right person. Now when the right person gets the right kind of information from the marketing perspective point of view, right deliberation takes place. So they are all the operational part of customer relation tools which are being used to connect to the customers from the marketing perspectives as such. And the logic behind connecting to the marketing perspective is to get a comparatively a larger base. Now when you're talking about analytical part of customer acquisition, CRM tools have to be supported by sound analytics. Clearly the analytics should show that which is the prime customer. There can be 1 lakh customer, but out of them, if you contact this 5, the probability of getting converted the so-called prospective client into a confirmed client is very high. So for that, what is required is the 100% confirmation from your business perspective or analytical model that, sir, we have done the analysis and this is what the data is all about. That the right offer is made to the right prospect through the right channel at the right time. And eventually, when all the things are considered to be right, eventually there is a hope that the customer will give them a comparatively better revenue as a part of generation. It is often possible to create customer-centric related database for clues in terms of guiding the customer acquisition. And when this particular acquisition, what happens from the business perspective point of view, the right kind of information is being generated. And when the right kind of information is generated from the marketing perspective point of view, the outline is comparatively better as such. So this kinds of generations of the data gives us a lot of different kinds of understanding. And these different understandings will make you understand that what is the right thing, what kind of calculations are to be made, how these calculations are made, what are the prospective schemes related to this, and what are the different parameters as such. Now, when you are talking about the retention process, when you are trying to retain your customers, see to it that they don't go to somebody else. What are the different parameters you can use? Which customer should be targeted for retention? That is very important. Again, you have a base of 500 customers. And let's say 5 of them or 500 of them, they want to go to some another company that you know it. But which is that exact set that you can focus and see to it that they don't go to somebody else? So which is that parameter will you use? Now you have to look at your own particular data in order to answer this question. And in order to answer this question at the right time, you have to understand what are the real objectives which are required and how these objectives work. So customer retention objectives should be set at a given point of time. And retention strategies should be used from the business perspective point of view. And different strategies which you will use will eventually give you comparatively better result as such. And finally, how this performance of the retention plan has been measured, that is very important. Let's say you tell your boss that, sir, we think that our 500 customers are going to walk out. And I have a plan for this. But at the end of the day, how will you measure that you have used this plan and these people have stayed back in the company? This is a logical question that you need to answer. Of course, when you introduce the product in the market, you can come to know through sales. But every time you cannot introduce the product in the market, no? So you have to understand that which strategy fits the best, what are the measurable standards, and can we measure it in the right and systematic manner so that we can come up to a conclusion or not. And if we can come up to a conclusion, then eventually from the business point of view, we can know what is the higher level of possibility and why this possibility makes the difference when you're talking about retention. That is, you want your customers to stay with you for a longer period of time. So can you tell if a customer has defected or not? May not be able to measure the retention and the detection if you have. Product-based views of the customers can give you the outlines, definitely. Whenever you go and purchase any products on Amazon, when you look at the reviews, you can clearly understand what is the effectiveness of the product and how customers are talking about the product. That is the other second thing which is very important. And what are the measures which are practically being used and how these measures are used in order to take you to the ground level understanding that these are the kinds of changes which are required. And these changes will give you a lot of different understandings as such. Channel-based views related to the customers, related to a particular channel which is being used to study the customers. You can take the reviews and you can compare. And finally, you can come to know that what is the defection criteria or the retention criteria. Separate customer records in sales and marketing and service, and then you can come to know that these are the people who are with us since last 15 years. Then try to understand what is the logic behind those 15 years. What are the factors that they are working upon? How they are trying to study those factors? What are the parameters which are playing a vital role? Why there are certain things which are included and not included from the marketing perspective point of view? So all these things, when you practically try to gather, you can at least basically come to know, or you can have a comparatively rough idea as such, that how these kinds of decisions has been taken. Now, when you're talking about measuring the customer retention, that is about the raw customers retention rate. How can you do it? The number of customers doing business with a firm at the end of the trading period expressed as a percentage of those who are active customers in the beginning. It's a simple thing. Let's say, for example, it is a stock market. This is just an example. Since in the morning, there were 50 people who were trading with you. and till evening they are still trading with you. It is in a rough manner known as the raw set of retention customers as such. And whatever the differentiation is there, when you minus, you can understand that these are the number of customers who have basically left it. What are the sales adjusted retention rates related to sales? What are the changes? The value of sales achieved from the retention customers expressed as a percentage of the sales achieved from all the customers who are active in the beginning of the period. And basically from that, whatever the sales is being generated, it is known as sales adjusted retention as such. And the third one is profit adjusted retention. The profit earned from the retention customers are expressed as the percentage of profit earned from all customers who are active in the beginning. So whatever the profit is being generated by the retained customers, that percentage of the profit when compared to the all customers gives us the understanding that this is profit adjusted to the retention criteria. So basically these are nothing else, but it is just giving you different outlines as to what kind of measures which are there, how do you use the measures in order to retain your customers, and finally you can come to know that with this so and so measures which is being implemented in the market, we can take up so and so call. Now, there are certain issues also related to retentions. It may not be beneficial to maintain relationship with all the customers at the same time. See, try to understand and never do this blunder. From the marketing perspective point of view, you should never do this blunder in order to connect to all of them 24/7. Because even if you are doing it, you are not making any sense in the quality aspect as such. And in order to segregate this quality aspect, you need to understand that every time it is not possible to take care of all those customers at a given point of time. Too costly to serve. If you waste your time in taking care of everyone, basically you are losing a lot of things. Strategic switchers constantly are in search of a better deal. So one day they are with you, tomorrow if somebody else is giving something better, they will jump to them. So they are strategic switchers. They exactly know when to take the advantage. And if you are wasting too much of time in maintaining relationship with them, these people are already very logical in the nature and they don't want any kind of relations with you. They are practically not interested in that. What they are interested is what kind of decisions are being taken, how the business is being affected, and what are the criteria related to the business. Not strategically significant in roles such as benchmark, door opener, inspiration, technological partners. They will never be connected with you for a longer period of time. Try to understand. And they will keep on changing. And when they will keep on changing, their roles also changes with the span of time. So retention issue, whether it is Apple, Google, or any company, local Rajkot city, anywhere in the world, they will have retention issues. You can reduce, you can minimize it. You cannot take it to a zero level. There is no company in the world where the retention ratio is 100%. There is always a valuable variations with the span of time. Of course, there are few customers who are brand loyal, but you cannot emphasize everybody to come and purchase your products at a given point of time. Which customers to retain? That's a very logical question. Out of the pyramid that you have, let's say if you have 20 lakh customers, now this is a too big data. Now 20 lakh customers, how will you divide whom to take care of this 20 lakh customers? High lifetime value customers, you should identify. And you should target those people. And you should focus to retain those people because they will give you good results. High volume customers who are purchasing quantity on the bulk. Certain people who are sending benchmarks. That one time they came and they purchased 500 shoes. This is just an example. But setting a benchmark. Who are inspirationals and door openers. These kinds of people, when you try to fetch, eventually with the long span of time, they will give you good results. Otherwise, what will happen is you are keep on trying and searching in order to get the good returns, but practically the outcome is nothing. And because of that, what happens from the marketing perspective point of view, you tend to lose the money. Because what do we practically do is we try to impress everybody from the business perspective because we think all of them are the customers which are very logical in the nature. Of course, they are all the customers, equal importance is given. But when it comes to especially retention process, you have to be conscious that retention is a systematic challenge. And you have to deal it very logically and systematically in order to get the better results. But this may also be attractive to your competitors at a given point of time also. That with the span of time, from the competition perspective point of view, it will be the same thing for your competitor also. What the customers you are trying to attract, they are also in the same process. They also want that same category of the customers to be attracted from the business line perspective point of view. Commitment and retention level, this is very important. The level of commitment between your customers, and you will figure in that decision about which customers to retain. Basically, you look at the commitment and then you talk about the retention process as such. So if I'm highly committed to you and I'm always coming to purchase the product from you, by default you are trying to retain me, or you should retain me at a given point of time. Why? Because the more and more the retention which will take place from your perspective point of view, definitely it is going to give me good results. And that good results are comparatively so better in the market that I can take the appropriate and the necessary calls from the marketing perspective point of view, which is logically not done in any other criteria as such. So if the customers is highly committed, improvisation to appeal of the customers, you need to invest a lot of time in retaining those customers over a period of time. Why? Because by just looking at the commitment, you are able to understand that yes, these are the people are ready to be with me for a longer period of time. Then I should really work for those people. And if I can practically work for those people over a period of time, then eventually I can take up the call. So this is very important to us. Now there are certain positive and negative retention strategies. When you are talking about create entry barriers, these are all negative ones. You are not allowing the lower class. When I say class means I'm talking from the marketing perspective point of view, to come to you. It might be practically possible because your product is very high-ended. So what do is you charge a very high price to create a barrier. Enforce the contract. You don't allow that suppliers to do business with somebody else. Exit switching penalties. So for example, if somebody wants to go out of the contract, you are charging very high penalties out of them from your suppliers. The other one is delight your customers in a positive way. Create a customer perceived additional value perspective. So whenever they do the business with you, always they think there are certain values which are by default added. And this value addition creates a lot of understanding from the marketing perspective point of view. Create social and structural bonds. You need to create as much as possible from the marketing point of view. The more you do it, 100% there is a chance you will get better results. And create an customer engagement strategies as such. The more and more customer engagement strategies that we bring it up in the market, eventually there are 100% chance that the retention will be very high. And more when the retention takes place, eventually it gives us a good result. So we have to understand that what kind of strategies are there, how the strategies are there, what are the criteria related to strategies, what are the parameters related to this. All these things you need to understand. This is the generally delight formula. When you are talking about the perception of the customer should be higher than the expectation. So whatever the perception that they are coming, it should be more than the expectation that they have. So by default, they will become very positive about you. And when they will become positive about you, as we discussed, word of mouth will increase. And eventually people will fall upon your brand. And they will come to purchase the products with the span of time. So all these practical understandings will give you different logical statement as to what are the things which is to be done, how it is to be done, what are the parameters should be used, why you should use that particular parameter, and all these kinds of questions to be answered. Now, when you are talking about what do customers really expect out of you, expectation based on promises, this is very important. I expect to have my car service within 2 days of calling the garage. This is expectation, a kind of a promise, a commitment you are giving. Then you need to fulfill it. Expectation from desires. I want my car service the day I call the garage. From the desire experience point of view, you are talking about customers really expect something out of you. On the experience base, most flocks normally have to wait 3 days to have their car service. That can be practically possible. That is the practical experience, and from that they are talking. And they really expect you to do something on it. Whereas other people, when they are taking 3 days, you only make them wait for 1 day. They'll be more than happy to come back to you again and again. And eventually they will keep on purchasing the product from you. So this is logical and a very practical thing. Expectations are based on the ideals. My car should be serviced overnight and delivered to my home in the next morning. Now imagine from here, if you can come down to any level, eventually it is a positive thing for the customer only. And what will happen is you will increase your retention level. They'll become more positive about you. And the way they become more positive and more serious about your product, they are eventually ready to purchase it. So can you drag your customers from promise to the ideal situation? Of course, for that you have to do a lot of changes. I'm not saying that is not practically possible. But how can we do it, guys? What are the best methodologies can we use from the marketing point of view to exactly hit the target at the right time? Because if we are not able to do it at the right time, the logical question is, will it give us the right kind of return also with the span of time? And if those kinds of returns are not available, then what are the decisions that we are looking for? And how we are looking for those kinds of decisions from the marketing perspective point of view. Ways to delight your customers. Provide information about the customer's served market. A packaging company could alert a fast-moving consumer good manufacturer for the real market requirement. So let's say, for example, a retail chain is very strong. They pass to the wholesaler, it goes to the manufacturer, they take up the fast call, they reintroduce the products. It can delight the customers that they had complained before 10 days and the complaint is solved within 10 days. They'll be more than happy. So if anybody, any brand can do this, eventually it is a positive thing only. Volunteers to collect and replace the faulty products from the customers in a credit time rather than issuing a credit note. This is also a very good option. Rather than making them delay or giving them a credit note in terms of replacement or in terms of reimbursement of the product, just go there and get that work done. And if you do it on the time, you provide the right service, they are always ready to be with you for a longer period of time. So this is what the plus point we have. Offer better, lower cost solution to the customer, even to those who might reduce the margins at a given point of time. Sometimes you can do that if you want to retain your customers over a longer period of time. So why can't we don't do it? What is that important parameters which are actually stopping us to delight the customers? Because eventually they will always create the problem. And these problems will lead to a lot of expectations as such. And these expectations will create a lot of blunders as such. So this gives us the outline as to what kind of strategies to be used, how the strategies should be used, what are the different parameters we can use in the strategy, and we need to answer the respective questions. Basically, there are 3 ways to create a customer perceived value. By loyalty schemes, you can launch it. Loyalty cards which are there, you purchase for next time 500 rupees and you get a discount of 50 rupees. It's practically possible. A loyalty scheme card can be given to the customers. Many big brands are doing also. They will tell you, sir, loyalty card hai. So loyalty card means what? A dedicated card which shows your purchasing history, your buying history as such. Customer clubs. There are certain customer clubs. There are certain companies which they develop, where in that forum they talk about the products, they give you a lot of inputs, they tell you what are the things to be used, what are the things not to be used, why not to be used, why to be used, different parameters, ifs and buts, and all these different conditions which they give it to you. Basically what they want is, they want to understand how the market it is all about, and the way the market it is there from the business perspective point of view. And this marketing criteria gives us understanding as to how the things work from the business line perspective point of view. Other one is sales promotion techniques. You use different strategies as such, as to using different methods in order to promote the sales. Basically what they will do is, they will add up the value, and the overall prescribed value will be comparatively higher. And when the prescribed level which will be comparatively higher, it will give you a plus point, and basically you can take up the call accordingly. So this is what the important concept from the marketing perspective point of view it is. And this is what we need to understand, that when we use this sales promotion techniques, there is a logic that why we are using it and what are the criteria related to it. Because until and unless we don't understand that, then we won't be able to fetch the customers. So it is not only the 3 methods, you can use any methods that you want. It is totally up to you as a businessman, as a marketing management, as a marketing managers, that what are the strategies you are using, why you are using that strategy, what is the logic behind using that strategy. All these things you have to answer from the marketing perspective point of view. Now when you are talking about bonds, it can be social positive relation between the individuals, empathy, responsiveness, reliability, trust, commitment. When it is there, eventually by default the sales are going to go high. If you remember, you might be aware that when it comes to purchasing the day-to-day life items, we earlier had one fixed retail shop. Two generation used to purchase from one single person. Just imagine how much money they might have generated. Although the products were not that much costly, but look at the strength of the brand and why it was possible, because purely positive relationship based marketing. Whereas when you talk about the structural aspect, you are talking about the financial equity, project, multi aspects, and different criteria where from the structural point of view also the bonding is very high. And this eventually gives you the return in the long run. So this is what the practical advantage from the business perspective you are talking about. Now, when you're talking about knowing your customers, being with your customers, keeping your customers intake, raw customer retention rate, just now what we studied gives us the outline. Raw customer retention rate in each segment will give you an overall outline as to where what is happening, why it is happening, what is the logic behind it, what are the parameters which are to be used. Sales adjusted retention rates are there, why it is there, what is the logic behind retention rate, why there are certain things which are not taken up into the control, why there are certain things which are always missed out from the customer perspective point of view. Sales adjusted retention rate segmentation, that you adjust your sales, and from the segmentation point of view you can come to know. Profit adjusted retention rate, all this terminology is just now what we have studied. Cost of customer retention process, share of the wallet retained. So let's say for example n number of customers were there, now they have retained, and what is the share in your overall wallet? If it is 60%, then you are done, that you only have to take care of 40%. But if that ratio is 20%, then you are going wrong somewhere, 80%. Customer churn rate per product category, sales and regions, just filter and you can come to know that, let's say for Apple iPhone or Apple iPod, if I select India in the software, I can come to know that who are the customers who were there for last 3 years and now they are not with us. So all this different kinds of analysis or filtering techniques, cost effective analysis from the retention techniques, any techniques that you use, basically it gives you the idea where you are standing with your product in the market and how effectively you are standing. Because at the end of the day, you have to justify that also, no? That we have done or we have brought so and so product in the market, we have given the best quality, we are connecting with the customer, but still we are not able to retain them. Then the logical question comes is, why you are not able to retain them? What is that important parameter which is missing out? Or what are that particular criteria which are there which are not allowing you to develop from the business point of view? So all these techniques and all these strategies, when you're talking from the business point of view, it gives you ideas to how the markets are working and what are the strategies which are used from the marketing perspective point of view. The last part is about the development of the customers from the business point of view. The role of the research is very important when you're talking about now customer has been retained, but now how will you develop them? So this question is very important to us from the business point of view. Why customers are churning? Are there any lead indicators of indication why they are not able to retain or impeding towards defection? What can be done to address this root cause? You need to answer in your research that what has changed that since last 5 years I have lost more than 60% of the customers. When you are not able to make them survive with you for a longer period of time, you cannot talk about the development process. And even if you talk exclusively about the development process, practically it gives you no outline. It gives you no how as to what are the strategies, how the strategies work, what are the criteria related to these strategies, what are the different parameters which are there, why these parameters are there, what are the different principles can be used. So all these different kinds of techniques, when you try to throw it in the minds of the customers, they eventually become very positive about you and they start purchasing the products with the span of time. So it's a very important factor. Now when you're talking about advanced indicators for the intention related to churning is reduce RMF sources, that is recency, frequency and monetary values. If it has decreased, eventually the chances very high customers will flow out of the organization. Non-response to carefully targeted offers. It might happen that you have targeted the right person with the right kind of offer, but they are not answering you the way it is expected out of you. So that can be one of the source where we can work, and we can see to it that the development takes place. Reduce level of customer satisfaction clearly can tell you lot of complaints which are there, can give you an outline. Look at Big Bazaar, it has gone out of the market. But I don't know whether you are aware or not. You should really check out their books of complaints. It is loaded. Why? Because there is no one to take care of it. There is no one from the business line perspective point of view who is giving clear understanding as to what can be done, how can be done, and what are the different parameters to be attached to it. And until and unless the level of customer satisfaction is not there, you cannot take the right kinds of call from the marketing perspective point of view. Dissatisfaction with the complaints which are being handled repeatedly as a customer. If I have to keep on complaining to you again and again, but you are not even bothered about what my complaint is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my business. I'm going to go to somebody else. Reduce share of the customers only fly 1 lakh to the international flight on your airline. Means what? That overall the sales volume is low. They are not satisfied. Earlier they used to have a roundabout ticket, or they used to have connecting flights, but they are not interested in your airlines because any one of the point is disturbing them. They are not satisfied with the services. So eventually what will happen is they'll become negative about you. Inbound counts for technical or product related information, that can be there. They are asking you something, but you are just telling as a formality, they will become very negative about you. Late payment on the invoice, that can be a definitely problem. Querying in invoice, customer touch points change, store closes, changes of the website address. It gives a very negative feeling. Try to understand. And once the customer is negative about you, trust me, whatever the efforts that you put, it becomes impossible to make them positive. So you need to understand this. Customer change of the address, that is very dangerous, and eventually it will create a problem. And you as another person don't have any other option as such. And you have to agree with those people. And because of that, it creates a lot of blunders. So all these factors eventually destroys the positivity of you as a company in the eyes of the customers. CRM technologies which are used for the development purposes, as I said, you use campaign or event-based marketing. You do a special event for a particular car which is being launched. Exclusively take effort for 3 months. Definitely it will give you results. Go for the data mining. Go for the customization, channel integration, customer communication, marketing optimization, any techniques basically you use. You only have to see to it that the development of the customer takes place. And if the development happens with the right time and the right place, you get a comparatively better result as such. And that results will give you a lot of understanding. But the logic is, why do we go wrong? What are that important parameters which are hurting us? Even if you have done a campaign which is purely dedicated to a product which has come new in the market, you have taken your 200 efforts, but people are not interested. Can you do anything about it? Of course, the answer is no. So you need to answer all these logical questions from the marketing perspective point of view, because eventually, even if you customize also, but customer is not ready to purchase from you, then how can you convince at a given point of time that my products are best in the market? Because it is of no point. It is of no logic as such. And that will give you understanding as to where and how you are going wrong in the market. The more you have the profound knowledge related to it, definitely there is a huge chance that you will get a lot of understanding as to how the market is working, where the market is working, and what are the parameters which are there on which the market is working. So all these questions you need to answer when you are talking from the marketing perspective point of view. Strategies for terminating customers is, sometimes you have to do it. You want certain customers to walk out of your store professionally, just increase the price, unbundle the offer, rectify the product, recognize the sales and needs, introduce ABC, that is 80-10-5 ratio, or I will say ABC inventory process ratio, where A is only 20% of the product, which is giving you a return of 80%. And in that way, you introduce your marketing strategies and you terminate your customers because you want to go to the next level. Now imagine if the apple will come in 5,000 rupees, it will lose the market. It will not cover the market because it will lose its value. So every time what do they do is, as they want to be in the top category, they keep on increasing the MRP of the product. And they increase it to such a level that people are still ready to purchase by default from the marketing perspective point of view. So these strategies, if you use, definitely there is a chance that the customers will be terminated from the market. Typologies for companies in terms of termination of the behaviors. Handliners. Who are those people? Take an active and rigorous stance in terminating unprofitable relationships, including the regular clearance of the customer portfolio. So you have 100 customers and you take up a account. They are known as hardliners. They exclusively work to remove certain set of the customers, and they only focus on the prime customers. The other one are the appearers. Take more conscious approach in concerning to the termination of unprofitable relationships. There are certain people who are known as appearance. Who are these appearance? That they want to terminate. They want to close the relationship with the customers who are not giving them the return, but they do it very logically. And the last one is the undecided one, are reluctant to terminate unprofitable relationships, but eventually they are never successful in the market. So you have to clearly identify, put A, B, and C category. A are very good, B are common, and C are very bad. Remove those C portion. Then and only then you can highly focus on the first two categories. And in order to focus effectively on the first two category, you have to take the necessary steps, guys. Until and unless you don't take the necessary steps, you will never be a successful person in the marketing perspective point of view. And in order to be the best in the markets, when the right kind of steps are taken, eventually it definitely gives beautiful results. But it is the only logic that are we taking those kinds of steps? So that is it from this particular chapter. We have understood how this customer retention, acquisition, strategy, business takes place, what are the different parameters to it, and why do we use different strategies to take different calls in the market. So thank you very much for getting connected. What I'll do is I'll open the chat box. Please write your enrollment numbers and you can leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.